Welcome, professional wrestling fans, to the PW Fan, the ultimate pro wrestling podcast created by fans for wrestling fans. And this is episode 140. I'm your host, collector, barber, musician, and most importantly, a professional wrestling podcaster, Talk Wrestling, Tim Gilbert. And on behalf of our no-selling indie wrestling fan, Jeremy, he will be on at the end to discuss SummerSlam with us.
And I'm your host, the architect of pro wrestling podcast, Andy.
Booker Andy, bitch. All right.
Hey, I switch it up sometimes. Sometimes I'm Booker Andy, sometimes I'm not.
You're always Booker Andy in my eyes. You know why? Because we got merch to sell. ProWrestlingTees.com / the PW Fan. We got Booker Andy tees, white and black, amongst others. Today, we will be discussing and reviewing SummerSlam, the latest on the Hardys, Bryan Danielson, and more. Before we get started on this week's episode, please go to youtube.com / the PW Fan Pod, where we kindly ask you to comment and subscribe, like, interact, do all those things. It really helps us out. We appreciate our small but growing audience on there. I know a lot of you listen to us on Spotify and Apple, but if you were one of our YouTube listeners and watchers, because we are available on if you want to see our ugly mugs, you could watch us be awkward on camera. We are available on YouTube, and we appreciate you very much. Andy, Booker Andy, where else can you find us?
You can find us on just about all social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, X, at the PW Fan. I believe all of them are at the PW Fan. I don't think there's one that's special anymore. TikTok used to be a little bit different, but now it's just at the PW Fan. I've not posted in a couple weeks, I don't think, for TikTok. I have been slacking on that end, but
look, we're human,
guys.
We're human.
Clips.
We're human, and I don't mind keeping this on the pod, because that way, if it does transform into something, I want to document this. Like, social media, as a lot of people know, there's great parts about it, there's funny things about it, but it's also very depressing, and it burns you out. And when you're posting stuff all the time and thinking about like what content's good and what's not, I don't know about anybody else, but I honestly find it very draining and in a dark, kind of depressing way. And that's honestly why I personally had to get away from it for a little bit. And Andy took over on posting pretty much all the TikTok stuff. And every now and then we'll still post Instagram stories. But I don't like social media. It's a very dark, uncomfortable place for me, and I don't like to spend a lot of time on there, to be honest with you.
So yeah, follow us on all social media platforms.
Yeah, that's the really big that's the big plug, that dark, depressing talk. Follow us on all there. We will post happier stuff.
And you know what? Lately on TikTok, if you follow us, I always end up following you back. So you'll get a follow back, and I'll be able to see your videos that you post.
I feel like people can relate to that, though, dude. Like, social media can, like, dude, if you get on X, it's like unhinged on there. You want to see the worst of the world, it'll show you anything you want, because it's all unedited. So I'm just not a big fan, but we appreciate the people that do follow us on those platforms. So Andy, what do you say we talk about some wrestling? What do we got for this week?
So let's get right into episode 140. Sorry, 140. It's been a long time since episode 40. That we were still probably figuring some stuff out then. But yeah, so let's start with this past week's Dynamite. MJF would open up the show. He's in his American hero era, but hero as in he's a heel. There was a video online of him going to Mexico and kind of talking shit to Mexico and hyping up America as number one. Actually, I believe he's also not even coming out anymore to his music. It's I don't know what it's called, but you've heard it at like rallies in like movies and stuff. It's like some American like starts. I don't know. Once you start watching, you'll understand what it is. It's not like God Bless America or like a song that like I actually know the name of. This has no lyrics to it. But so he would open up the show and Will Ospreay would come out right after him. They've been a feud lately. Um, and this is going to continue on to their second match at All In later in the month, August 25th, I believe. Chris Statlander would defeat Willow Nightingale. This was for a CMLL World Women's Championship eliminator match. There was a segment with Bryan Danielson where he would come out and talk about the promises that he made to his family, one of them being that he would stop wrestling when his daughter turned 7. And Swerve would end up coming out. They'd have a little bit back and forth, but the main takeaway from this segment is that Bryan Danielson added a stipulation to their match at All In, which is if Bryan Danielson does not beat Swerve and win the title, that he will never wrestle again. So, Tim, where do you see then this match going? Do you think Bryan Danielson loses and really never wrestles again?
I don't know. I don't like these type of stipulations because in the territory days, if you said loser leaves town match or whatever, the guy might leave Mid-South, but then he goes to Jim Crockett promotion. I can't speak tonight. He goes to Jim Crockett Promotions, or maybe he goes to Florida or a different territory. And now it doesn't make sense. It's like, I'll never wrestle again. It's like, well, he's not going to go back to WWE. And do we really believe that this is the end of Bryan Danielson?
Not even a one-off later down the road.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. These type of stipulation, it feels premature. Like when Cody did, we were there at Full Gear, the original.
It backfired, man.
Cody said, I'll never wrestle for the AEW Championship ever again. It was in the first year of the company.
He regretted doing that, he said.
And then this feels like one of those things that's like, it may be not. I know that Bryan, like I know the guy in person. It feels like he's near the end, but I'm like, I don't know if I believe this is the end, like the end.
Well, he's saying this is the last time he's been saying this is the last year he'll be a full-time wrestler.
Right.
So if he does win, do you think it's too soon to take the belt off of Swerve, or do you think it's the right call to put on Danielson, and then maybe Danielson retires with it, and then they have to find a new champ?
This is a tough one because I think Swerve deserves the belt. I think that, oh man, I want to.
Danielson's never won a title in AEW.
No, but I want to think it because I don't want to discredit Swerve and make it seem like his reign shouldn't have been more than even what it is. But without rambling anymore, because I know I am. I think that Swerve's title reign is deserved, and he did a great job for what he was given. Full transparency, sometimes it feels like as a fan that Tony doesn't know how to, when he gets these guys like a Hangman Adam Page or a Swerve to win the title, he doesn't know how to keep the storylines going to make the star feel as important as the day that they won the title. And I think with the discussions of Warner Brother Discovery, amongst other ratings situations and declines, and I think you have to put the belt on a guy like Bryan because he's a mainstream star and it'll at least get some eyes maybe back on the product. But I don't like saying that because I actually think Swerve is a good champion. I just don't think he's been booked in the way that makes him like the guy.
I think he's great.
I know.
I'm not saying that. I don't think that you don't think he's great.
If I made it seem like I think he's anything other than great, that's not what I'm trying to get across. I'm just saying, like, sometimes, like, people get the belt and it's like you need the guy that writes the show to. It can't be all Swerve. It's like he's got to have material to work with to keep him hot, to keep him, like, people pumped on it, you know? Like, it's you can only go out there himself and do so much. He's a great character. He's a great, like, performer, but, like, you got to have people to work with. You got to have storylines. You got to have people that get you invested in the show. I wish Swerve was Swerve now but in WWE, you know, under Triple H and under writers that
I feel like he would kill it.
it's not because it's not the character. The character's great. He's great. Him as the champion's great. It's just the material. It's like you only got so much to work with before it's like, what are you going to do now?
Yeah. Well, speaking of Bryan Danielson, he had I don't know if you saw this news. He had an interview recently. I'm trying to remember. It was with Gorilla Position. And one of the questions I asked him is there any part of you that regrets leaving when you did, talking about WWE? Yeah, if things had changed, but you were still there, would you have stayed on? So then Brian would respond by saying, "Oh, no, not at all. Obviously, things have changed for the better there, you know, substantially. But how I view it is that I've had an incredible time doing what I'm doing. There are a lot of people, and I think I'm one of these people who prefer the style in AEW that's more wrestling focused as opposed to the drama focused style. I like the idea that there's an alternative. When I considered leaving WWE, it wasn't because I disliked WWE. I've always tried not to say anything negative about them because I really enjoyed my time there and the people I worked with. Those people are still my friends. One of the things I really wanted was to participate in something that improves the wrestling industry for everyone involved. I believe that having AEW as an option is much better for all of us." So the comment about more wrestling focus as opposed to drama focused style, I mean, does that hurt? Like you were talking about, you know, Swerve needs something to work with. You know, we see it at week to week when what you and me have complained about, like, I need a story, but apparently they're not focused on, according to Bryan Danielson, not drama focused. Sometimes it's a
I
50-50 on
think,
things, but it seems like the wrestling is more.
Dude, at this point, I think we need to start reviewing AEW almost differently than we would a Raw or SmackDown or up against a Raw or SmackDown, because, like, I think
I agree.
I think at this point, I think at one time Tony was, like, really pushing to be like, oh man, we got Adam Cole, we got CM Punk, we got, you know, he got Samoa Joe, he got, like, all these guys. It's like it felt like he was like, we're making a push to maybe be to at least try to bite at the heels of the big dogs, and I think they've kind of backed off of that, and not in a bad way, but I think they've just kind of been like, look, we're gonna do what we do, and we like what we do, and we like 5-star matches, and we like, you know, some quirky stuff here and there, and Tony's got enough money where he's like, dude, who cares? Like, I'm not trying to I don't think they're anymore. I don't think they're trying to compete with WWE. I think it's just kind of become like, we're just going to do our own thing, which is honestly maybe for the better. Like, just do your thing.
Well, I think for a while, I definitely was comparing them to WWE.
We
And
all were,
so,
but like Tony was also like, we're coming for you, and all the wrestlers are like, we're going to change the business. And like now it's kind of like, after all the Punk stuff and after Punk left and that big buzz is kind of left, it's like, well, what do you got left? It's like, we got guys that can put on great matches, great entertaining matches, put their lives and bodies on the line. And that's great too. And it's, people really enjoy that. I don't think they're really trying so much anymore to be like, we're gonna put WWE out of business. More like we're just gonna do our thing, which that's cool.
But then they would have gems of storylines like CM Punk and MJF. And it's just like, where the
But
fuck did that
again,
come from?
but then again, dude. But again, you think Tony wrote that shit? He didn't write that. That was
Nah.
Punk and Max talking behind the scenes. You know,
Yeah.
like
And you would think with someone like Jericho, you would have, but he like seems to have gone to the other crazy cuckoo side of like fireballs and like,
uh, if he's having a good he's done everything there is to do. You know, as he would say, he beat The Rock and Stone Cold in the same night. First ever undisputed champion, multiple time world heavyweight champion. He's been, the top of the top. He's been in the cruiserweight division in WCW. He's been in every wrestling video game you can think of. At this point,
he's like, I got to get creative at this point.
he's like, bro, I don't. If he's like, I'm just having fun and I don't give a shit, I can't. I've kind of like looked at it like the perspective, like, I can't blame Chris Jericho. What he doesn't have anything to prove to anybody. Although I
Yeah.
think his new gimmick is terrible with the thanks guys and like but even 7 years ago when he was doing the list, I thought that was hilarious. He's been very good up until the last few years, and I think I can cut him some slack on this
Dude,
as
he
a
says the
fan.
Lauren Teresa's best gimmick.
I disagree, but that's that's his prerogative,
Yeah. Well, let's wrap up Dynamite. Darby Allin would defeat Hangman Page in the main event, and then let's go straight into Collision, where the Patriarchy would open up the show. Christian would give the members of his group each one of the trios titles that they had won, I believe, the week before. He gives one to why can't I? Nick Wayne. I couldn't think of his first name for some reason. Nick Wayne, and then he does not give one to Killswitch. He talks some trash to Killswitch, and then he gives the third title to Mama Wayne. I thought this was bad. I thought it was terrible to give her a title.
I know this is like out of nowhere, but I just looked over and I just want to point out that somebody sold me a fake Resident Evil N64 game, and I'm very upset about this and angry. However, I'm recently given my life back over to the Lord, so I'm gonna say that I forgive you, but I hope you one day you find it in your heart to give me your money back, or give me my money back. You took my money. Sorry. B plot. I just turned my head and I looked at this N64 game that I knew was fake, and I was like,
And you're like, calm down, calm down.
I've changed. I'm changing my ways.
Mother Wayne would get the title instead of Killswitch. Brody King and Malachi Black would come out. Buddy Matthews would return after being gone a couple weeks, and the Bang Bang Gang would come out. So at All In, I am predicting it's going to be Patriarchy, House of Black, and the Bang Bang Gang for the trios titles. That's my Booker Andy prediction.
No, I think that's an accurate pick, and if you're wrong, I would be very surprised.
Dude, if I keep being wrong, I'm telling you, I just can't go by Booker Andy anymore. But sometimes I pull it out.
You've been wrong, dude. I would say your accuracy. If anybody doesn't believe in
more
the Booker
wins
Andy
than losses.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Booker Andy. I have both shirts hanging in my closet, white and black. Worth getting. He's right about 95% of the time. Dude, even 90% of the time is solid. All right, so
like
10% of the time you get it wrong. That's still like that's an A on a test.
Record. I have a winning record, yeah.
On a test, you're getting an A from a teacher, brother. Or at least a B+.
The last thing on Collision I want to talk about is Thunder Rosa challenges Deonna Purrazzo to a Texas Bull Rope match next week. And then we can get straight into Raw. WWE this week was all go-home shows for SummerSlam. So, not going to go too in-depth, but there are a couple points from each show that I want to talk about, starting with Seth Rollins going over the rules and regulations with Drew and Punk. I enjoyed this segment, all three guys in the ring, talking some trash, still keeping the audience invested in it. I wish I could remember exactly some of the things that were said during this segment, but Rollins just wanted to set the record straight that, if anyone puts his hands on Rollins, he is going to basically hit him back.
In the
we'll talk about what happened when we got this in the Sabu pants. Was that during this segment that he mentions the Sabu pants? Punk did?
That was on SummerSlam, which we'll cover later. But that's when he was like, he's like, I don't care about you or your Sabu pants, your stupid Sabu pants.
They were shiny. We also had 3 members of the Wyatt Six show their faces on TV. That is Eric Rowan, Dexter Lumis, and Joe Gacy, going after Chad Gable and the Creed brothers. So this is the first time on TV, not on a VHS tape, that their faces were shown. Pete Dunne,
we are, I think we should do a little foreshadowing, to keep the people coming back for next week. We're a little late on this week's episode. We did watch Raw last night, where the Wyatt Six made their in-ring debut on Raw. So come back to us next week, and we'll cover that. I just want to give the people a little Easter egg to, come back and join us for 141. We're going to cover that.
All right, and Jeremy is now joining us, and we're going to be talking about SummerSlam. No, this was basically WrestleMania Night 3 is what it felt like. I don't know about you guys, man. This felt like a fucking wrestling.
I can't wait for SummerSlam being 2 nights next year. Jesus. Or is it following year?
2026, I believe.
Okay, so
2
following
years.
year.
2 years, yeah.
It's only getting bigger.
A+ pay-per-view, guys. A+ freaking pay-per-view, I must say. Start to finish. Loved it. So let's just get right into it, guys. Opener, and I know last week I predicted that the opener was going to be Punk and Drew. It was not. But after seeing the opener and the way it ended, it was still strong. Every match was strong, I thought. So Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship was the opening match. During the entire match, Rhea Ripley, who was coming back from a shoulder injury, they worked her shoulder. At times, it would go out of place or out of its socket, and then she would pop it back in. That was kind of the story, though, they were working.
That's crazy how she did it that one time when she slammed it against the announcer table.
That was the first time she popped it back in. The second time she was like standing in the corner.
Yeah.
So they were working her shoulder the whole time. Dom had come out with Rhea. At one point, she grabbed a chair and Dom stopped her from using it and said that, you're not going to win this way. You can't win the title this way, because she was the challenger. And then towards the end of the match, not much longer after that, Dom threw the chair in, slid it in, made it kind of seem like, he was throwing it to Rhea, but Rhea did not get a chance to use it. Instead, while the ref's back was turned to yell at Dom, Liv hit her finisher, which is that it's kind of like a DDT-ish.
Yeah, it is a DDT, yeah.
But instead of her arm wrapping around the back of the head, it's like pulling them front.
Yeah, pulling them down.
But it was onto the chair, and then the chair got pushed out, and Liv won 1, 2, 3, pinned Rhea, retained her title. And then what I did not see coming, I knew it was going to happen eventually. I did not think it was going to happen at this pay-per-view. But Liv was on the ground on the outside. Dom picked her up, and they started smooching. And so this pay-per-view, a lot of things happened. One of them was the implosion of the Judgment Day roster as we knew it. Judgment Day is still around after this pay-per-view, but there's some changes.
Yeah, it's the start of the change of it for this match.
So thoughts on this match, guys, or maybe just all these matches felt like the story, like a real story was being told, like, and this just set the tone. I feel like for the rest of the night.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is a great opener, actually, just because of how it ended and like the turn. I found it funny. People were like, Dom turned even more heel. Like he turned heel being a heel, but he just turned even more heel.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's a great like start to like it felt like a fresh start after SummerSlam too. Like it's like SummerSlam like was a end of so many stories, which I think is like the purpose of those like SummerSlam, especially WrestleMania. So I think it did a lot of what it's supposed to do.
How about you, Tim? Me and Tim watch this together as normal, as usual. I mean,
I really liked the match. I was surprised, like Andy. I've actually watched SummerSlam twice. I watched it with Andy.
both of you have.
Yeah, and then I watched it again by myself. Sorry for the long, awkward pause. I was having problems with my headphones. I couldn't hear.
Yeah, I realized that.
But no, I watched SummerSlam all the way through twice, and yeah, I loved this match. Honestly, the second time I watched it, I liked it even more. I don't know. I just think Rhea's so great, and she's like gonna only get more like popular from here. I thought the spot of her putting the shoulder back in was cool.
She made it look believable too.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
I think Liv's come a long way too.
Yeah,
especially from her old.
And then it got the big.
She finally has a character that people are invested in.
I think everybody was
tatted up. Me and Tim noticed she got tatted up while she was gone.
She was a lot more.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're chilling at home. You're like, what should I do? I'm going to go get a bunch of tattoos.
I was like, she has more tattoos, right? And I'm like, I'm not going crazy.
Especially the scorpions on her stomach.
Yeah.
Those are new, but I think the ones on her back might be as well. So yeah, strong start to the pay-per-view.
And he's like, I was observing.
He's like, I'm just observing for the show.
Both ladies looked great. No, you were talking about a new start, and we'll get more into that next week when we talk about Raw from the other night, because it certainly felt, Raw last night, without spoiling anything, felt like the day after Mania kind of thing.
Yeah.
Minus all the debuts, but
yeah. I mean, there was one or two.
Oh yeah, that's true. Again, we'll get into that. I am known for saying I don't want to spoil, but then spoiling. All right, up next was Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, this match, time-wise, was cut short. It was supposed to be 12 minutes, I read, and it got cut down to like 5 minutes and 40-some seconds. Mm-hmm. With that being the case, there's not too much to say about it except for a pretty dominant performance by Braun Breaker. It was not so equal as their match at, what was it, Money in the Bank? Was that their last match?
Yeah, because I mean, I think they kind of had to do it this way because Braun, if he didn't win this way, I think it would like lessen him as a character, like, you know, how they present him.
So I don't know what went longer for it to be cut short, but it went about 7 or 6.5 minutes shorter, with Braun Breaker becoming the new Intercontinental Champion. And his uncle and his dad were in the audience, along with a couple of other legends.
That was cool when they showed the shot of them up there reacting. That was cool.
Yeah.
So what I did find out, reading wise, is that there was a whole like sheet that was sent out with what legends were coming, and this is really cool that Triple H is doing. So it was like a call sheet kind of what legends were coming, and on it showed like kind of what they've done in the industry and stuff, because not everyone, say, grew up as a fan or is young and might not have seen these people's matches, people young like Tiffany Stratton or something. Maybe she has, but she's pretty young. And Triple
It's a
H
different
said that
generation.
he wanted these legends now to feel like they helped pave the way, and so it's really cool what they started implementing with that.
I didn't even know that, and that's so cool because I was just thinking like you can be for instance, me and Andy got heavily into wrestling in the late 90s, early 2000s. But then like at the time, like if I'm some young 18-year-old who just became a wrestler and I really love wrestling, but I really only know about like Stone Cold and The Rock and maybe WCW and some like indie stuff. But then like, somebody gives you something that says like, oh, this is George Hackenschmidt, and like gives him like all of his credentials. If you're a real nerd for wrestling, even though you might not know personally, or you could be like, oh shit, this guy's like a big deal. He's coming. It definitely puts things into perspective for the young talent. Like it lets them know like, wow, this guy like is like he did stuff, and like maybe this is a person that we can ask questions to, or like bounce stuff off of.
Yeah, so instead of just showing up, they let the superstars backstage know, like, hey, here's who's coming. This is what they've done to kind of pave the way for you. And so some of the legends were the Steiners. We saw Kevin Nash, X-Pac, I think Jacqueline. I know I'm missing someone else that was up there as well. Maybe, did I see DDP?
I think he was there, yeah.
Okay. Well, that was most of them, if in case I missed any of them. So I bring that up again because the Steiners were watching Braun win, and there was a video online of them reacting to his win in the stands. So yeah, dominating Braun Breaker. After that, we had Logan Paul versus LA Knight for the United States Championship. Logan Paul came out with MGK because Cleveland boy. I know MGK is. He was wearing like a flame shirt that like a kid would get it from Target in the early 2000s. But
one of the best memes of all time, though, one of the best troll memes of all time is a black and white picture of MGK holding a guitar, and it says, "He didn't create metal, but he perfected it."
Holy shit.
It still makes me mad it makes me mad every time I see it, but in the best way. Like I think it's hilarious.
That's funny.
Yeah, so the two Cleveland boys come out. LA Knight came out in Logan Paul's Prime truck, which he had stolen from SmackDown the night before. And I mean, I'll go straight into the finish. It's about time. LA Knight won.
That's what LA Knight was saying after he won.
He stood on the top rope and said, "About fucking time."
Yeah.
Logan Paul. So there was a couple spots. Logan Paul did that backflip to the outside.
I was going to say that spot.
You can see video of him practicing it. But there was a
as much as I hate him.
There was a scary spot, remember, with the suplex off the top rope.
Where, yeah.
And I think it's because Logan Paul didn't extend his legs. He kind of kept them bent.
They were like, yeah. They were like bent over,
Yeah. It was a superplex off the top.
Yeah.
Solid match, though. And I thought the right guy won. I thought it was about time.
Definitely. Yeah.
Logan Paul, I see why they put the belt on him in the first place. But I don't know how many more new people are going to be coming around because of that.
I think he did what he needed to.
And he'll stick around. He might.
He'll go after something else later.
But yeah, like this match, like that LA Knight one. And any thoughts on it?
Oh, solid match. I think this one wasn't like the most exciting one, but I'm glad that LA Knight finally got a singles title.
Yeah, I'm glad that LA Knight won. It's hard. It's still hard for me to want to give Logan Paul any sort of praise, but
I'll never be happy.
Me too.
I just like to be like, oh yeah, they did a great job and it was a good match. Like it hurts my soul a little bit, but
I gotta give him, that was a good flip, but I hate you.
Yeah. You still suck.
He's had like 10 matches, and it's just like, God damn it, dude.
I know. Every time I'm like, why are you so good at this?
Don't be so good
so
at
after
this.
that-
Stop it.
Go.
After that, we had Bailey versus Nia Jax for the women's championship. Nia Jax was the
That's
queen
why they
of the
made Pat
ring.
McAfee stop wrestling. He was too good. They were like, all right. They're like, you shouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
They're like, you're up here
Dude,
doing a
remember when he
fucking...
front flipped?
Dude, you remember when him and Adam
Front
Cole
Cole
cut better
like
promos.
years? That was
Yeah.
like
And
a
NXT.
crazy... That was like the forgotten saga where Pat McAfee was having crazy matches.
Yeah.
Wontoned off the top of the cage at War Games in NXT.
Like,
Yeah. Sorry.
Like, what are you doing? Come get your man. Yeah, so Nia Jax was the Queen of the Ring winner, which earned her
Queen
a
of the
title
Wing?
shot at Bailey. Queen of the Wing. You say Queen of the Ring winner.
Queen of the Ring
Winner.
winner.
can you say
of
red
the
leather,
Ring
yellow
winner.
leather 4 times fast?
Actually, I did today. Because I was watching
You
Bad
did
Friends.
today.
I was watching
did
Bad Friends
today?
podcast, and Jack Black was doing some like,
Oh right, yeah.
yeah, you saw the episode. He was doing some like speech things that he does for acting, and
I was like, "What do you mean you did today?"
it's like actually coincidence. All right, so Nia Jax and Bailey, Tiffany Stratton would come out and tease a cash in, but Bailey would hit her, and stopping her, she would punch her off the apron. Nia Jax would end up winning. What did she hit her with? 3
Yeah,
asses to stomach.
yes, that thing.
Ass to stomach move.
Yeah.
The fridge slammed on her 3 times. And yeah, we have a new women's champion. And look, Bailey's solid. Her run, just like Io. Maybe is it something with this title? Io had
Yeah, I
a
don't
really
know.
lackluster run. Bailey had a really lackluster run.
But you know what?
I don't see Nia Jax having a great one.
Bailey is like most girls, and Nia, she's not like most girls.
most girls. So yeah, we have yet to have Tiffany Stratton cash in. Both ladies sat at the table together at the press conference afterwards. And every time Nia does one of these things, she's out of character. She's like super nice.
Yeah, I
It
know.
was Braun Breaker at his press conference table.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, stay in character.
Like, ugh.
Sell it. So after that, all right, we had a match that was a long time coming.
A match
CM
of the night.
Punk versus Drew McIntyre, special guest ref Seth Rollins. All right, wrestling wise, it was fine. It was good, but I think more importantly, the story that was told was even better than the wrestling.
Yeah.
A lot that went on, and I'm gonna say a bunch of things and I know they're gonna be out of order. Probably it's just gonna be me saying stuff that happened at the match. So, of course, Seth Rollins being the special guest referee, there was tension with all 3 guys. At one point, Punk had an issue with Rollins and said, "You're as good of a referee as you are a wrestler," which I don't know if Punk just thinks Seth is bad at wrestling, because at the kickoff press conference in front of the live crowd,
and after the bell rings, it's all downhill from there.
yeah, he's like, or after the music, it's all downhill from here. Like, so he would make that comment during the match. There's clips online to where it was shades, and Michael Cole even said this, shades of 97, SummerSlam 97, Undertaker versus Bret Hart with Shawn Michaels as the special guest referee. There was a spot where Rollins actually went to hit Drew with the chair and almost hit Punk, while in the SummerSlam match, Shawn went to hit Bret, but did hit Taker, I believe. Actually went through with it. I'm trying to think, maybe you guys watched it twice and recently. So what led to Punk ends up GTSing Rollins?
Because of the bracelet. So Drew took out the bracelet.
Punk picked it up, or Seth picked it up.
Yeah, after they were down, so he picked it up because he's a ref and put it on his wrist. Punk had Drew up for the GTS thing, saw the bracelet on Seth, and dropped Drew and was like, "The fuck are you doing?" The bracelet.
It was great, dude. This spot
yeah, I know it was
great.
And then a GTS Seth, and then what happened after that? Then Drew hit him with the Claymore, right?
So then Drew low blowed
him,
Seth down, and then hit Punk with the Claymore, and Rollins got up in time to do a slow count, but it ended up being a 3 count. So similar to Drew being distracted with Punk, that he was able to get cashed in on at Mania, Punk was distracted with his hate for Rollins, and Drew was able to get the pin over him. So thought on this match, guys. You guys are bigger Punk fans than me. First match back, he didn't get hurt. Me and Tim were watching like
I know it didn't get hurt.
Match, dude, just don't get
hurt. I was like, stop slamming him. God damn it.
Don't hit him.
But speaking of Shades of 97, Punk had Bret Hart inspired gear. Drew kind of looked like Taker did during that match with the gear out with. But yeah, what do you guys thought about Punk? How did he look to you?
Or your Sabu pants? That was a great line.
Oh yeah. So yeah, how did it feel seeing Punk back, singles match, WWE?
Well, first of all, I thought Punk looked like he was in really good shape.
Yeah,
I was like he was yoked, and also he had like abs too. Like he usually doesn't have like defined abs, but he did sort of. So I was like, he looks like he probably was like, I need to get in like the best shape ever to not get hurt again, because I don't think he can go through that again.
Yeah, he looks awesome. I mean, compared to his AEW run, he looks crazy.
Yeah. I think overall, like the match itself, I thought was really good. Like definitely the storytelling, the wrestling, was good. There was really good spots there. Punk looked smooth, as he usually
Where
does.
Do you think they go from here? What's your guys' opinion? They say
you think there's more story for sure.
They already they said there was like they're gonna. They didn't announce or anything. I'm saying like what they were saying backstage is like main event Bad Blood. So I'm guessing it's probably like a Hell in a Cell, maybe.
The bracelet, guys.
Yeah, so maybe it's like a Hell in a Cell.
But does Hell in a Cell be the third one? Because Bash at Berlin's first.
They might not even be on that show, right?
I guess. I guess.
Because that show is on the 31st of August. Like we're already in August right now.
Yeah, but they're ramping towards something after last night, so...
Yeah, I know. You can't talk about that yet, though.
We'll talk about it. Before we get into Damian Priest and Gunther, Damian was seen backstage looking for Dom after betraying Rhea. It's Finn. He was looking for Dom, but we'll get back to that later. So then we had Damian Priest versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. Damian Priest is great. He was super over. Watch his documentary if y'all haven't. I watched it last night. It's very good. It's a very, if you follow your dreams, it'll pay off kind of thing, even if it takes a long time.
Because I don't think people realize how old Damian Priest is.
It's really, really good if you don't know his story. And, he used to be fucking like 300 something, or he says 400 pounds, but.
Yeah, you ever see the videos of him on the indies?
I mean, there's a lot in the documentary, so yeah.
Yeah, it's like so weird to see him. I'm like, that's Damian Priest?
Yeah, they talk about him, and he talks about being an ROH, and which is where me and Tim actually saw him first, Punishment Martinez. But
also, I don't want to say for this match, I called this.
Yes, I called what happening later.
Okay,
I called what happened. I thought it was going to be at they'd have a rematch at Bash of Berlin, and that's when this would happen.
Dude, Booker T's like, don't steal my.
Let's just say what happened. All right,
don't steal my thunder, bro.
I know. He's like, I'm still right. I did say something.
No, I'm wrong.
It's a little thing called. It's a little thing called gimmick infringement.
So this is what happened. Finn would grab Gunther's foot and put it on the rope. Damian would see the video of it up on the Titantron, the replay. So Finn has turned on Damian Priest, and Gunther, after a good match between the two, Gunther was able to pull out the win and become champion, which, being Gunther, I feel like it should have happened. My prediction last week was that Finn would get involved.
That's right. You're right.
But it was to help Damian, and it would backfire, causing tension between the two, and then Damian and Gunther would have another match at Bash of Berlin, and then Finn would purposely cause him the title. Not this early.
Yeah.
So, Judgment Day has screwed over now Rhea and Damian in the same pay-per-view. Both people walking out without a title, one losing it and one not winning it at all, or not having it at all.
Yeah.
One losing and one winning.
Well, one losing their title and one losing their championship match.
Yeah, and then we won't say what happened on Monday because there is a follow-up to this already, so we'll just leave it at that.
There's a follow-up to this. But, yeah, again, another thing done very well. So far, 4 titles have changed hands?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like this, like SummerSlam felt like a new start to everything because they did so much.
4 titles. There was 6 championship matches. 4 of the titles changed hands up until this point.
Yeah. And also Gunther walking into Berlin as a champion is going to be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when they do like the Raw and Smackdown there.
And they've already announced his opponent, which we'll talk about next week. But yeah, I mean, I like Damian Priest a lot more than, say, when he became champion. The crowd is really behind him. He doesn't really need Judgment Day anymore, neither does Rhea. I think they have...
Yeah. What
Judgment Day did for them has paid off. Especially if you watch the Damian doc when he talks about, like... You remember when he was the United States champion and he was just, like, smiling?
No one cared.
Yeah. They talk about that run and, like, he was just basically being... He wasn't being his authentic self, and that was kind of the problem.
Yeah, now he's the bisexual Undertaker, and
now he's bisexual Undertaker. Yes.
Does he say that?
Yeah, that's what people say on Twitter. They're like, "Oh, bisexual Undertaker."
Yeah. Or bondage.
Undertaker endorses Damian, so that tells you.
He does.
He does. He does.
Yeah, he talks about Damian in the doc. Okay, so the main event: Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa, Undisputed Championship, Bloodline Rules. Winner, first off, Cody Rhodes, and then we'll get to everything that happened beforehand.
Yeah, so, I was going to say, sorry, before you go into the match, like, what do you think of everything before, obviously, like, the other stuff happened, like, the match itself, the wrestling?
The match itself, wrestling-wise, just them two at first. I thought that it was good. It was good to me. It was fine.
Yeah.
Solo has come into his own. It might have been a little while, but you know he has made it there. Is he the tribal chief in my eyes? No, of course not.
See, to me, it's like some of these Bloodline Rules matches. I feel like it's like good, but then there's up to a certain point of like everyone's just kind of waiting for like whoever to come out then and interfere because they know it's going to happen. Once it gets to like a certain point in the match, that's the only thing I have with like some of these matches.
That's kind of the whole point of the match is so that everybody can come out.
Yeah, but it's like if you go on too long, you're just like, okay, like when's someone gonna come out, sort of thing.
No, I'm with you.
And if you were looking at if you were watching live and looked at the clock, you could kind of tell when this was supposed to end. So then you could kind of like predict a little bit. But so first to come out were Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa to beat down Cody. Then to help out would be Kevin Owens, and then it would be Randy Orton, and they would fight. They would fight to the outside as well. And then you're like, okay, when's Jacob Fatu come in?
Yeah.
1 second, guys, my fucking phone.
I wasn't sure if that was like
Who's
whose phone that was.
We're not cutting it. We're not cutting it out.
Come on,
Yeah, tell
Andy.
your-
We
all
know you're
real up
important.
Tell your little woman friend to
Uh,
stop texting. We got man's work to do. Just kidding.
Oh my god. So
Horrible.
you threw me off, bro.
Look, Andy lost his train of thought. He's thinking
yeah.
about.
Anyway,
He's
God,
like, it is true.
Jacob
However,
Fatu comes out. Jacob Fatu comes out, and Jacob Fatu would end up doing a dive off the top rope to the table onto Cody, and he would actually really end up hurting himself. He hurt his leg.
Well, did he?
I believe. I don't know. Tim was telling me that he thinks it's real.
So do you want? You can go through the rest of the match before I say why.
I've
What I
just
saw
changed
was
my
why.
mind. I think it's a work. It's
Okay.
a work shoot.
All right.
All right. Good.
Yeah, go ahead with the rest of the match, and I'll say like why I thought it was fake.
Well, then after Jacob Fatu is basically down for the rest of the time. Oh, is that why? Because he has to be down for the rest of the time when
Yeah,
new music, but everyone knew right away who it was. The real,
I like those. Was it drums in the beginning?
Mm-hmm. The OTC, the original Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns returned. One of the biggest pops I've heard.
That was crazy.
God, dude.
And him just walking down like that long,
Dude,
like entrance
when
ramp.
that song hit, and it's like when the song hit, and it was like B dude, B dude, B dude.
I know. I
Dude.
honestly was missing that B-doot more. I was like, can they add a little more B-doot to it?
How big would the pop have been if it was the B dude?
And it was just you and Andy being like, B-doot.
It's just the drop, like nothing's happening, and just like, and then it's just like B dude, B dude. I'd be like, oh shit.
Oh my god.
That's how you know it's on.
So he comes out, he's wearing a shirt that says OTC, Original Tribal Chief. And he comes in, he makes his way down, gets into the ring, instantly Superman punches Solo Sikoa, then spears Solo, looks at Cody, leaves. Cody hits him with a crossroads, pins him 1, 2, 3, and retains the title. Roman kind of gives him a nod of acknowledgement in a way.
Yeah. No, was it an acknowledgement or was it like?
It was a smirk. He gave him a smirk. He went,
Yeah.
I don't know. You don't nod if you're disapproving. But Roman's back with a purpose, and he'll be on Smackdown this week. So can't wait to see that. But yeah, I'm very happy to see him back. Excited to see where this whole story goes. But the original B-Do is back, and
Original B-Do.
I hope that would be a great shirt. Original B. Can we just get a shirt that just says
B-Do? Let's do that. B-Do. It's like B-do. Yeah.
B-Do.
B-Do.
Hell yeah. But that's SummerSlam, guys.
And then like it kind of gets smaller, so it's like the first one's like big. It's like B-Dude, and then it's like B-Dude.
Yeah, and then it's like an infinite one.
B-Dude.
But that's SummerSlam, guys. What do you think of the pay-per-view as a whole?
I thought it was A+, like you said before. There was like one of the ones where I watched it again, like Tim did. Like I watched it again on like Monday, and I was like, I watched the entire thing through. I didn't even skip like anything really.
No skips.
Yeah, which is like I usually skip through everything, so that's kind of crazy.
All these matches smacked.
But all right, Tim, do you want to take us out? Do you have a classic show of the week?
You know what?
Gen Z Tim.
I don't have a classic show of the week. But
SummerSlam.
We've done so many old SummerSlams. We're at 140 episodes of pay-per-views.
You know what, let's do because of the shades of SummerSlam 97. To go check out SummerSlam 97.
Go watch SummerSlam 97.
Go watch SummerSlam 97.
SummerSlam. Say that 4 times fast.
SummerSlam
97.
I said 4 times fast, bitch. Not once.
Yeah, Andy, it's not fair that me and Tim aren't feeling good. We can't pronounce words.
Billy on the
All right,
street.
well, Tim, take
All
us
right.
out.
This has been
Tim and I are just going insane.
This has been Billy Eichner. Thank you for our SummerSlam review. All right, everyone. Well, that was our review of SummerSlam and everything that happened this week in the world of pro wrestling. Thank you for joining us for episode 140. Check out SummerSlam 97, and we will catch you all next week.